So I'm going to share with you a little story that happened about 10 years ago. The place where my horses were boarded at prior to us purchasing the ranch, it was a good friend of mine owned the place, and we had a really bad winter where we had a tremendous amount of rain, and we had snow, we had rain, we got more snow, and her barn had a couple of different angles to it which collected a lot of snow. And one night I was teaching and I had a group of kids riding, and we could hear a lot of creaking and cracking going on with the roof, but it wasn't really a big concern of mine because that's just what happens when there's a lot of snow on the roof. I got a kitty that's trying to come over and say hi. Here, kitty, 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 kitty. Here. This is Jackson. So anyway, we heard so much creaking and cracking going on with the roof, but that's pretty normal when there's a lot of snow up there because that's what happens before it all falls off. So anyway, I think it was the next day, I got a phone call. It might have been 2 days later, but anyway, I get a phone call from my friend, and she was just in panic. Her arena roof had collapsed, but the arena was kind of like an L off of the stall barn. So the stall barn was straight and the arena was kind of off of that. There were horses in stalls, and the arena was connected right off of the stall barn. And then my horses were all in a paddock connected to that. This arena came down quick, and it made quite a ruckus. And actually the neighbors were the ones who I think noticed it first and came over and told my friend because of the noise. So Jackson thinks I'm a chew toy. But anyway, so that was a really terrifying phone call to get, and you know, all the horses were okay, thankfully. Nobody was injured, and thank goodness it didn't happen when I was in there with kids, or that anybody was in there. But since that day, I have really been very aware of what's going on. You know, you got to respect Mother Nature. Things can happen, and it is scary. But it's always something that I'm concerned about. So whenever I'm concerned, I cancel my lessons. I don't take any chances, because why? Why go through that? You know, so the remainder of that winter, there was a boarding facility that was down probably about, I don't know, between 2 and 4 miles down the road. And so what I did is I would drive about 25 miles to the barn each day, and I would hook up my truck and trailer. I drove a 97 Dodge 3/4 ton pickup. I got about 8 miles to the gallon. I drove 25 miles one way, had to hook up my horse trailer. Typically the plow would come by and completely block me in. And then, so I'd shovel that out, I'd load up all my tack, load up my horses, drive a few miles down the road, give my lessons. And this was before texting. This was like 10 years ago, 9 years ago. So nobody really texted much. So if I had a cancellation, people just, you know, and there wasn't good service either for phone calls, but I mean, if somebody called me and my service was bad or something, I just didn't get their message. So here I'm just sitting at this other barn, just waiting, and lessons wouldn't show up, or my lessons would show up. But by the time I spent the money on gas and the amount of time that went into getting that one lesson done, I probably made $4 total a day. And that went on for several months. And then, you know, we ended up purchasing our farm and moved in September of 2010. So it was January 2010 when the arena had collapsed at the farm that I was at. So I feel very thankful that it worked out like that for us, that we had another option, and we had been looking at purchasing this barn prior to that even happening. So it's funny how things sort of just align like that. But anyway, so that's my concerns with That's my concerns. So that's another one of the big reasons why I don't keep horses in stalls, because I think about how tragic that could have been. If those horses, if the whole barn had come down with those horses inside, what would it have been? And I try not to think about that, because there's no sense in that, but it is experience. It is an experience that I've been through that I learned from. And so that's one positive thing that came out of it. So now that I've shared my story, what I want to know is, have any of you been through any kind of a situation like that? Let me know in the comments below. I'd really be interested to hear your story. It's been snowing since about 1 o'clock in the morning, and we have some pretty major winds going on. It's not cold out, but my gosh, it's windy. It's the kind of wind that you can't really breathe if you're looking into it. Oh, we've got about 1 foot of snow here. We're not used to having quite so much in February. Okay, all right. There's my barn door. Ah. Gosh. The hard thing about days like this is that trying to shovel gates out and all that kind of stuff, you know, you're trying to shovel things and then the wind just blows everything right back where it was. So these are the kind of days that are really hard. Wind is a really hard thing to manage. It's not that cold today, so I'm not too concerned about the horses being chilly. Nobody seems to be shivering. They all feel pretty warm and everybody's content and eating, so I'm happy about that. But gosh, it is sure hard to, you know, you try to throw hay on the ground for some of them and it just blows away. So I'm very thankful that I have my hay chicks nets. These horses, as you can see here, they're all eating off of a round bale net that's loaded with 20 squares. And then I have some other horses that I hang nets for. It just really makes things a lot easier, but feeding horses in the wind is definitely something that's pretty challenging, and it's hard because you can't see what you're doing, especially when there's snow along with it. It's blowing in your face, and so the horses just kind of hunker down, and there's only a couple of them hanging out by the shelters. The rest of them are all just kind of eating, so I'm not too concerned about them right now, but I'll be back to check on them in a little bit. Oh girl. Oh girl. Oh, you're okay. Oh my gosh, you're fine. You are fine. Yes, I'm standing in your way. I'm standing in your way. Good girl. So, but she's in here. She's got her grain and a bucket of salt, her hay, and her water, and she's doing really good. She's clearly been outside, and her stall is just loaded with snow, because that's how it works. It's really nice to see Sally standing in her stall. Oh, that was really scary, wasn't it? The wind is really blowing the doors. There's a lot of noise that goes on. The horses, I think, would definitely rather be outside. Mine would anyway. When it's like this, they don't like to listen to all the rattling that goes on. And honestly, you know, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little concerned right now to have horses in stalls, because the oh, this door sticks. There's so much snow up on the roofs. There's a few local places where the roofs have actually collapsed on buildings. A big bus garage, a furniture store, an auto shop. Those are all collapsed today. So it's pretty scary. That's the highest I've ever seen the snow on the front there before. Snow doesn't usually accumulate on the front of the building, but gosh, it's drifting so bad right now. Whew. Lila's trying to see up over the snowdrift outside. This is Jackson. He's about 8 months old, and oh my gosh, he's so playful, and he's all boy. He's just, ouch. He's crazy kitty. The horse behind me, that's Copper. He has spent 2 nights in my round pen because he was limping. He looks a ton better. It was his left hind leg, and he's still limping a little bit, but gosh, it's a huge improvement. I just really didn't want him out in the pasture with the other horses since he was limping. I don't know if he just maybe stepped wrong in the snow or if he got kicked, but there was a little bit of heat in his hock and he just was really sensitive to the touch. So I'll go ahead and include a little bit of how he looked the other night, just so you can kind of see it. So yeah, to see him trotting around even, he's definitely feeling better. I'm thinking that he's ready to go back outside. I'll put him back out tonight, because he's gonna be a lot happier out there with his friends, even though it's windy and blowing and everything else, than he is in here. If he's gonna start to get where he's hollering for everybody, I just don't wanna have him go through that kind of stress, because then that leads to more problems. I don't like the idea of animals being stuck inside of a building if there's any kind of a danger of a roof collapsing. I feel like the structure of our arena is very sound. So I'm not too concerned about it, but it is a reality. It could happen. Considering 3 buildings just in our community have come down today, it is something to be genuinely concerned about. So I would much rather Copper be outside. I know he's safe out there. He's got a shelter. They're designed to be out in the elements, and he's looking a lot better, so I'd rather him be out and not have to worry about it. This is crazy. This is evening now. I left my 3 mares in stalls for a couple hours so they could finish their grain. That's how much snow has piled up. I had to dig my way into the hay barn, and then it's the same way into our other barns. So there's my hay bags, and I got a 3rd one here ready to go. But if I tried to pull them all out with the sled, they just would have all toppled over. I just came out to check on everybody again, and hi Ona, and let these 3 girls out of their stalls. I had them in, they were eating their grain, and sometimes this one takes a little long. So I left them in for a couple hours and needed to come out and fill their hay bags. So I thought this would be a great opportunity to show everybody one of the absolutely wonderful uses of the Hay Chicks half bale nets. I hang these ones from the rafters, as you can see, and gosh, I've had these are just old lead ropes that I had, but I've had these hanging here for quite a few years, and I've never had an issue. The snow is a little deep here, of course, so these are actually lower to the ground than what they usually are. But, oh, and Nika's gonna give a perfect example as to why I don't like to put hay on the ground. Horses love to pee in their hay, and I'm not exactly sure why. If you know why horses like to pee in their hay, go ahead and comment below. I have a couple of assumptions, and one of them being that they don't like when it splashes on their legs. And I had a horse that every time you put him in a stall with fresh shavings, he would go right in the center of it and just pee right in the middle of his shavings. And then my second assumption is that they're just marking it. So I have a gelding here who loves to pee in hay. I don't know if that's a thing, but those are my assumptions. So anyway, these Hay Chicks nets work out fantastic because like this loose hay here, it's in a big shelter, but it's gonna blow all over the place. So they only have about, I don't know, 4 or 5 flakes that are loose on the ground here. And I have 3 bags filled, and they've got a half bale in each bag. But it is so windy right now, their hay would be buried. So this is a fantastic way for me to know that they are in their shelter, they've got hay, and they're just gonna be sitting here nice and cozy and munching for the rest of the night. These 3 horses are kind of on the unlimited hay plan, so I do throw them a little bit of loose hay just so they can consume a little bit more. This mare is pregnant, the Pinto is 26, and then the Buckskin is young, so she's growing, and so they get a little bit more food than the rest of them. I have exciting news today. I hit 600 subscribers, and I just wanted to give a shout out to all of you and thank you so much for your support and your kindness. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so. I've been doing my best to post several videos a week, and I have so much stuff to share with you. I really am enjoying doing this, and the more subscribers I have, the more videos I'm going to share. So thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.